Hey everybody, welcome back to The Pressing Matters. I'm Scott. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for your support. I hope you're all having a great holiday season. And as we approach Christmas, I didn't want to let the opportunity pass without talking about the two different versions of this album that are available now. I'm talking about the Christmas song by Nat King Cole. It is available from the Vinylphyle series. So this is an in-house reissue series from Capital UME. It's priced at $40. It's an all-analog reissue from the original master tape. The second edition is an all-out one-step edition from the Definitive Sound series, and that reissue is from Capital Interscope. So that is with all the bells and whistles, and it's a different approach to the album. And I'll tell you the differences and show you the differences in the presentation in just a moment. Before I get started, if you're new and haven't already, please consider subscribing. It's the best way to support the channel, and it would be great to have you on board before the end of the year. Just hit like, subscribe, and notification. Thank you so much for doing that. Let's talk about the Vinylphyle Edition first. I'll put this other one aside for a moment. The Vinylphyle, as I said, is a new audiophile reissue series. Just came out with 4 titles. It's done in-house by Capital UME. They're using top quality mastering engineers and all the things that we expect in an audiophile reissue series. This is very much patterned after the Rhino High Fidelity series. So it says on this OB card, it says, all analog mastering by Joe Nino-Hernes at Sterling Sound, Nashville. 180 gram heavyweight vinyl pressed by Record Technology Incorporated, RTI, includes 4-panel insert featuring new liner notes by James Ritz, a tip-on wrapped gatefold jacket in satin matte finish, printed on clay-coated board, archival poly sleeve, and limited edition. It doesn't have a number on it, though. So it's not a numbered limited edition. Well, let's talk about this jacket first. It says it is a tip-on jacket, and it is. Okay. So I think they did a wonderful job with the jacket. It looks great. This image has never looked better. It looks perfect. I'm going to show you it in close-up. I really applaud them for keeping the white border here. Why is that important? The white border is a feature of Capitol Records, and it came about because of the process used to create the original tip-on jackets. Originally, there would be a plain cardboard jacket. They would wrap the back cover slick, which is usually white, around like that and paste it down around the front corners. So you had extra here. Then the color slick would go on top of that, and it would leave the white border, and that was a distinctive feature of Capitol Records. They also printed, how to file the record and the catalog number up top. So that is how a Capitol record is supposed to look, and they kept that perfectly, even though this is a gatefold this time. The satin matte finish looks really good. I would call it a low luster finish. I'm not so sure about the clay-coated board, but whatever board they used is really good. The tip-on jacket is done the opposite way. So the front panel is wrapped around, and then this is laid in on top of it. So you can see the edge there. They used 2 outtakes from the session, the color session for the cover, and 4 images from, it looks like a TV special. On the back, they kept the original liner notes, which are beautiful. It looks nice. The only thing I don't like back here is, they already had the barcode printed here, which is great. They didn't need to repeat it here, and I hope they take that off of any future records that they do, because it's really not necessary, and it really mars the look of the jacket. So overall, the jacket presentation looks great. The obi looks great. Let's take a look at the label. They kept the original centered Capitol logo label, which is perfect. Really nice. The pressing by RTI is flawless, really beautiful. Of course, you have the RTI sleeve, and let's take a look at the insert. Where is it? One interesting thing about this jacket, look at this. The interior is not white. It's like a charcoal gray. Maybe that's the clay-coated board. I don't know, but it's really cool. I like that. I just noticed that. Okay, so like the Rhino High Fidelity, they show you the tape box, which this is the original Stereo Master tape. There's the tape, all analog mastering. A really nice article here, essay, that really gave a lot of insight into this record. The source for this that Joe worked from is the original Stereo Master tape that's been around forever. Most reissues were produced from this. This is the difference between this and the definitive sound series, and I'll tell you why in a moment. So if you want to hear the record as it's always sounded, with a little bit of reverb on Nat's voice and some of the charming distortions here and there in the choruses and orchestrations, it's not a perfect recording by any means. And that came back to me as I listened to these both. My memory of it is kind of rose-tinted, and it's not quite what I thought it was. But there's no taking away from the classic status of the album, and a lot of it sounds really good. The voice on here sounds great, a little bit of reverb. There is some distortions here and there, but they're minor, and they're kind of in both of these editions, a little bit less so on the One Step. But if you want an affordable edition of this record that's done extremely well and pressed very, very well, this Vinylphyle Edition is the one to get, $40. If, on the other hand, you want to hear what can happen when you go back to the original 3-track masters, then you want to talk about the, I always want to say dynamic sound system, the DSS, Definitive Sound Series release. Now this one is produced by Grover. Grover, we talked about Grover on a couple of videos so far. We talked about him in the Dr. Dre video and the Chet Baker Swimming by Moonlight video. He is the man that has his arms in both Warner and Capitol and is able to get access to titles that we wouldn't normally have access to. So this is really beautiful, the way this is done. They went back to the original 3-track master tape, and Chris Bellman mixed freshly from that, to my understanding. So what you get here is a very clear, detailed type of sound, much more clarity than is evident on the Vinylphyle reissue. It also strips away the reverb, so you get a dry vocal, which is different, and a lot of people really like this. If you liked the tone poet of Frank Sinatra in the Wee Small Hours, that had a similar kind of feel to it, where the voice is extremely direct. Without all that reverb, it's like it's right there in the room, and that's what you get with this one. Also, the orchestrations and choruses are much clearer on this. So if you are willing to spend the money and want the ultimate in sound quality, I think this one would be your choice. Now, let's look at the package. In the Dr. Dre video, I remarked about how I love how the DSS logo looks like butterflies or whatever, and they're kind of highlighted in gloss. Well, this looks like a wrapped in holiday paper, really, some fancy holiday paper. It looks really good. All around here, you see that highlighting. The reproduction of the image looks good here. Inside the slipcase, you get the jacket. I would say the jacket it pops a little more here. It's pretty close, but yeah, there's a little bit more highlighting here, which kind of looks good. Either one, though, is fine. They retained most of the look of the white border. You know, you got it up here where the information is, but they didn't retain it down here. On the back, it's a little bit different. So you see here is the original layout. This is a little different because they had to add the extra tracks to the track listing. So not only is this cut from the original 3-track master, there was 3 tapes involved, and they had to cut and reassemble into the running order of the original album, plus the extra tracks. So it was a surgical kind of thing, just like the Frank Sinatra Tone Poet. They had to create a new running master. So that is what this is cut from. Inside, you get that famous, beautiful photo of Nat King Cole. I like the way they did this, the Christmas song up like this. They just rearranged this a little bit, and it looks really nice. The RTI pressing looks pretty much the same as the other one. Yeah, you could mix them up if you have both. It is on the VR 900 vinyl. You can see some light through it, or at least I can here. And it was extremely quiet, really beautiful in that regard. What else can I say? There are no liner notes in the One Step. I think there should be for the price. It would be nice to have at least some kind of sheet in there with a little bit more historical detail. But yeah, I would say for people that just want a relatively inexpensive copy to have a place in their collection that they'll bring out a couple times a year, the Vinylphyle Edition is probably the best choice. $40, you get a beautifully pressed record and a very nice jacket. For those that want to go the extra and get that extra work that went into creating this from the original 3-track, Chris Bellman's cut in the Definitive Sound series could be considered definitive. Maybe not the historical nature of definitive, but in bringing you as close as you can get to the sound of the voice and the clarity of the instrumentation and the choruses and stuff. It just sounds a bit cleaner overall, and as a result, it's a bit more immersive overall. Add to that the quiet vinyl, the beautiful packaging, and if you can swing it, the One Step is a great choice as well. It's nice to have choices. You know, I don't think there's a right or wrong here. They are 2 different records because they are 2 different sources, but it's one of those things where we're lucky to have 2 choices of this caliber. And I'm really excited to talk about other releases in both of these series. I have a couple of things in the pipeline for the Definitive Sound series, including Wildflowers and Purple Rain and the REM reissues. And in the Vinylphyle series, I have a shootout coming up for Bob Marley, and I'm going to talk about the Velvet Underground and Nico as well. So those are my thoughts on these 2 records. Let me know what you think in the comments. And until next time, I'm Scott for the Pressing Matters. Have a great day.